Hello and welcome to GG Weekend Watch with me, Rob Plumbridge, Daryl Carter, and alas, no Andrew Mount this week. He's enjoying a very well-earned break. So I can promise you plenty of tips, maybe not as many jokes this week, but Daryl and I will do our best. It's the final classic of the year at Doncaster, the Doncaster St Ledger, plus we've got racing from the Curragh with the Irish Champion Stakes, and racing also from Chester to look forward to. Before we begin, I'll sing a little bit of praises for Daryl Carter from last week. His nap, Layakel, absolutely hosed up at 100 to 30, and he also tipped his Crystal Caprice. So looking ahead this week, looking for some more winners. We get started. It's the Portland handicap. Looks quite tricky, and we'll say hello to Daryl Carter. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
Very, very well, very well. What do you make of this?
A bit disappointed Andrew's not here to leave me on my own with this massive handicap. But this is a good race. Typically, with this Portland handicap, you can make cases for loads of runners in here. I mean, when the dealing is done, is at the top of the market on the back of that good Ascot performance last time, beating many a star. I like him a lot. It was a good performance. It was a step back in the right direction. I would just err on the side of caution if you do like him. He's never backed up a victory, so his last 3 wins, he's always disappointed next time. So that would be a slight concern for his backers. He's a pound higher than when a good what was he, 3rd in this last year, 5th in this last year.
Yeah.
So he is vulnerable for me at the top of the market. He's been well supported into 92. I'm happy to leave him alone. Mackinac another one. He's been knocking on the door for me as well. He's been bloody frustrating, beaten 2 lengths in this in 2019 by Oxford. But you can I can see the appeal. He was a big eye catcher at York last time behind Bergerac over this 5.5 furlongs. This 5.5 furlongs is, of course, like one of those trips that rarely comes round throughout the season. So a lot of horses are targeted at things like the Portland. But I know he was a big eye catcher, but he's just had 15 runs. He hasn't scored since 2020, and I just don't see the reason he's going to win now. Albeit I do like him. I do like him as a horse. If you catch him right, he's a fantastic horse. I'm looking further down the field, in all honesty. Significantly is a horse that I'm keen to keep on side for this. Now he ran in the same race as Bergerac and Mackinac last time at York. He was just about to switch his legs and start striding on and make an effort when he was clattered by 2 horses either side of him. Now, he was just eased off under Clifford Lee, and I thought that was quite an eye-catching moment because he was literally about to change his legs. Now, whether he would have gone anywhere close to winning, I don't know. But he was definitely about to put in that second effort, and he never got the opportunity to. Now, if you look at his profile, he's down to a rating of 96. He's been dropped something like £8 in 3 runs. But those last 3 runs, he was gelded. He went to Newbury, ran no race, and then he had got a wind surgery. He went to Hamilton, ran no race. And then I thought it was a step back in the right direction last time, albeit he didn't get to show it at York. Now he's down from 105 down to 96, and some of his form from last year would give him a massive chance in this race. Now whether he wants 5.5 furlongs, I don't know, because he has clung on over 5 a couple of times. Yeah. But I'm hoping Clifford Lee can be very positive with him, pop out, try and make all the running, at least be on the front end. And I think his handicaps go well. So I'm going to have a couple of quid here. And the other one is Project Dante. I put him up during the week when he was withdrawn on veterinary advice. Now, during the week, he had Haydock, he had Hollydoor on, he had Cheek Pieces on. He doesn't have any of those today. But this is a horse that could blow this field apart. He's a 3-year-old. Again, another one that's come down the ratings. He's come down £10 in 3 runs, but he's a horse that's had problems. Clearly, he made a promising debut being Corker. Went to the Norfolk, ran so close against Perfect Power. That race, Rob, has worked out fantastically well, as we know, and then disappointed at Newmarket in the July Stakes. He's then had a win injury. He's been gelded. He comes from the race that Bergerac won at York. I just thought he was completely outpaced at the start. He was awkward under pressure, hanging his head to the left and to the right. But I thought the penny dropped with him inside the last furlong, and he was coming home at a rate of knots. And I'm just willing to give him another chance at a big price at 33-1. I mean, he could do absolutely nothing, or he could bolt up this horse.
Yeah.
So those would be my two against the field. Dusky Lord just is of interest. I've been saying this horse all year wants either a stiff 5 furlongs or an easy 6. He's now getting 5.5, which is probably what he wants. But the ground is going to be the issue. Now we're due a bit of rain, so I'm going to hold off on Dusky Lord. But I'm going to have a couple of quid at 2 at big prices significantly in Project Dante. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, having watched the first race at Doncaster, it does look like it's softening up a little bit. I've just had a look at the forecast. There is a little bit of rain knocking about, so you might get slightly softer conditions. That might suit significantly, actually, because he has won on heavy, I've just seen. I don't have a massive play in this. I agree with you. When the deal is done, like you said, he's never backed it up. And also, I just see it's far too short, 5-1. This race seems to pop out a lot of bigger price winners. Do think you needed high draw here, and I landed on a very small each way play on Sunday Sovereign, dropping down the weights a little bit. Finished 11th at York. The jockey notes on that day were that he was denied a clear run at the crucial time. Bergerac was the winner of that race, also in this race. It's 12-1, nearly double half the price, sorry. I think he's got a good draw here in 15, and it'll be a very, very small each way play for me, but nothing massive. It's absolutely wide open. It gave me a bit of a headache, if I'm being perfectly honest. But we move on. We go to Chester for the first time. It's the Stand Cup Stakes. It's a listed race. I mean, I'll make a start here. Again, it's a bit more of a tentative selection, but I do think Andrew Balding quite likes this race. He's won it, I think, 2 or 3 times. He won it last year with Invite. He has Typewriter here off a very similar mark as that one. I think they obviously think quite a lot of this horse, enough to run him in a Group 2 at least anyway. So I think he wasn't disgraced last time when he finished 8th in a big field either. He's off a featherweight here, and he's going to be another small each way play for me. How about you, Daryl?
She.
Hey, shit. Getting my pronouns wrong.
Yeah, oh, you'll be in trouble, Sam. Do you know what the issue with Typewriter is for me? Is that she went into that Chester race behind Thoughts of June, an listed company earlier this year, rated 79. She's been beaten 4 lengths, finishing 3rd of 9, and she's gone up from 79 to 95. She then ran and was absolutely brushed aside in a Group 2 at Ascot, and then was beaten here in a small field contest next time. I just don't know if the handicap has got that right. And given this is a listed contest, she's got a lot to find for me personally. Yeah. This is a strange race. I mean, this talking of headaches, this gave me a headache, really. I thought Pat Cosgrave was interested on Cadillac for George Bowie for the first time. 33% stroke rate he's got when he rides for Bowie. But, I mean, this horse, I don't think he's going to stay the trip, in all honesty. He's by far the top rated in this field, clear on ratings, only narrowly, mind you, on weight adjusted ratings. But I just don't think he's going to stay. Fancy Man is frustrating. He's run it before. He ran a good race, but again, he's not improving. Neither of them two are improving horses. So I think something could take a step forward, and I think that horse could be Lysander for William Haggis. I didn't think he did anything wrong at Ascot behind changing of the guard. I thought he stuck to the task well. I think this track will suit him. He gets plenty of weight from the 2 rivals I just mentioned, Fancy Man and Cadillac. And I think he's one of the few in this field that's actually on the upgrade. So I'm hoping first time tongue tie for William Haggis can pull out a little bit more improvement. And I think he'll go very close. I think he'll probably go off favourite, actually, Rob.
Yeah, a bit of money. I think Haggis had 2 in this race before the decks as well, didn't he? So this is clearly his strongest chance. So yeah, that's interesting. So Lysander there for Daryl. We got group action coming up next. It's the Champagne Stakes over at Doncaster. This is quite a hot little contest, isn't it, Daryl?
It is for a free runner. I was about to moan about the field size, but it's actually a very, very interesting race. Yeah, Silver Knot looked very good at Sandown, didn't he? I thought I thought he was very impressive until I watched it race by race with the other 3 7 furlong races on the card, and they sort of all finished in a very similar fashion, very similar time. He's bred to be very, very smart indeed. He's got a fantastic breeding.
Yes.
And you don't like to go against William Buick and Charlie Appleby too often in your life, do you?
Not at the moment, bloody hell.
Do you know what? I like Chaldine. I do like Chaldine. I love the way he goes about his racing. I love his big stride. It's very simple. But I thought Ryan Moore had to really get into him at York to fend off Indestructible, who reopposes today. I thought he had to really get in deep, and he showed a great attitude to battle back. I wouldn't have the same confidence that Frankie Dettori would do that on this horse as Ryan Moore would. Yeah. And for me, there was a moment in the York race where if Ryan would have done a Frankie and just pushed out hands and heels, there's not a chance he would have won that. So that's what concerns me about Chaldine in this. I think Indestructible will go very close. I think he's probably too big of a price at 9-2. They're looking just at the top 2 in the market. Silver Knight's going to be a great middle distance horse. Do you know what? I'm just going to give a tentative selection to the outside of 3 and Indestructible, because I think he might handle the ground a bit better than Chaldine will as well if it does get soft. So, yeah, let's go that way.
Yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming from there. I mean, that's the old adage, isn't it? You always back the outsider of the 3, and I don't think you can go far wrong with that. I haven't got I'm not going to put up a selection for this because as soon as it cut up into that field, it just becomes really tactical as well. And I don't think it's not going to suit Chaldine, is it? It really needs to be got into. And like you say, Frankie's sometimes, should we say, not the man for the job. But no
every week we bash him on this show, don't we?
Yeah, and he's going to do an E-ball day stuff, isn't he? So, but no selection for me. But a small pop at the outsider of the 3 for Daryl and Indestructible. We go back to Chester now. It's the Precision Facades handicap. Yeah, it's class 2, 235 at Chester, over 1 mile and 2.5 furlongs. Daryl, I know you're pretty keen on something here.
Yeah, you agree with me, don't you? Which is worrying.
Yeah, that is worrying. That's probably the weakest part of the tip.
It's Palavecino. I mean, he's been in the doldrums a little bit, but he's come down the ratings back down to a mark of 95 on turf. I thought it was a good step back in the right direction at Chester last time. I thought he did well on the front end. It was a good time, good pace. He was beating 8 lengths, in the end, but I thought it was a hot race, to be honest. And for me, I think I know he's won twice at Kempton before anyone starts having a go on the YouTube comments, right? But I think this horse wants to go left-handed. Now, his last 3 runs have been right-handed. He's beaten 18 lengths, beaten 7 lengths at Goodwood, which wasn't a bad run either, and beaten 8 lengths. And then he was in the Coronations Cup at Epsom back in June on the back of a 125-day break. But then he was a winner on the all-weather at Lingfield. Now, he might be a better horse on the all-weather, but his 2 performances here at Chester have been very, very good, in my opinion. He was beaten 4 lengths by Armory. Now, he was no match for Armory and Sangarius that day, but he still ran within 4 lengths of 2 very smart horses at Chester. And the year before, back in August of 2020, he absolutely bolted up here. I mean, I tipped him that day, actually. I'm just going to give myself a pat on the back. I tipped him that day. He was absolutely hammered in the market from about what he is now, around 9 or 10 to 1, into 10 to 3. And he absolutely bolted up. Now, I also think that the key to him is he needs a horse to give him a good lead for a long time. I don't think he has made the run into win previously, but we've got a horse in here called Pride of America who's just going to go. Okay, he's going to be the front runner, whether anyone likes it or not, because they're not going to be able to keep up with him in the early stages. Yeah. I think Palavecino, if he can sit prominently behind that horse, I think he'll sit, and I think he'll travel, and I think he'll kick away. I can see why Rivich is at the top of the market. He was my first port of call in this race, but I'm worried about the trip for him. Stepping up to this 10 furlongs for the first time, I think it's just going to stretch him. Although he does like it here at Chester. Look, Satono Japan was probably one of the better handicapped horses in the race, but Palavecino is an each way price at 9 to 1, and he'll do for me.
Yeah, are you Does the draw concern you? But maybe not as much at 1 mile 2, I guess. But he's what is in 9, I think.
He's
Chester.
usually quite quick away from the gates, which is
Yeah.
something I always look at when you're drawn slightly wider at Chester. I also look at how much pace there is in the race. So how many horses are going to be wanting to blast out and go forward. I think you've got John Baptiste in here and Pride of America are 2 out and out front runners, really. And I think that'll be fine. They're drawn 7 and 8, and he's in drawn 9. Yeah. So I think they'll all break together, come across. I don't think it'll be an issue in this particular race. But normally at Chester, yeah, you're right. I wouldn't want something drawn 9.
Yeah. No, I'm going to put the knockers on it, and I completely agree with you, Palavecino. I am just as a small each way selection, but yeah, sliding down the weights. Most importantly for me at Chester is I do like horses that have won at course, and the course and distance really sort of stood out to me as well, and all those reasons that you've mentioned. I won't go over. I'll just sort of steal your glory if it wins. But yeah, Palavecino for the pair of us. And that takes us now to more group action now. Group 2, the Kazoo Park Stakes. It's pretty much a rerun of the City of York Stakes, really. Daryl, what were your thoughts? Kinross, top of the market, is the obvious starting point.
I think I don't really want to look beyond the obvious, to be honest, in this particular race. He was a very, very good winner of the City of York last time, beating Pogo. That was a career best on RPR figures for him. It was a good time. That was on fast ground. Everybody's knocked him all season, saying he's no good on fast ground. Well, now he's going to have a bit of cut in the ground as well, so that's definitely going to play to his advantages. I think he's probably the new Space Blues, if you like, who just doesn't get beaten over 7 furlongs going forward. I think he's still improving. I like him a lot. I mean, I wouldn't want to go against him. I will just give a good mention to a horse that's the outside of the entire field, and that's the Wizard of Eye. He ran really well at Goodwood. He's a horse that I've been hoping that they would drop back to 6 furlongs, in all honesty, all season, but they kept going over a mile with him. Him coming back to 7 could be a very, very good move by connections. Now, he'll handle the ground fine if there's any cutting it. He's from the sort of classic generation. There's a 3-year-old in here, along with New Energy. They get a little bit of weight, but not much, £4. There is definitely ability in this, the Wizard of Eye, and at 33 to 1, I'm not saying he could possibly beat Kinross, but I'm just saying he may be able to hit the frame with something, with a couple underperform, if you like.
Yeah. No, I really like that. I think I landed on Kinross as well, but I put him as quite a strong selection, even though he carries a penalty for last time. Mainly because I saw him at the top of the market. I thought, yeah, great. Kinross, 7 furlongs, fantastic. But what's he racing against, and what are his nearest rivals? And I thought, Gareth, not a 7 furlong horse for me. Sacred, I mean, just because it's sacred, and she's had a lot of chances, especially on this podcast. And Chindit ran really disappointing the last twice. So yeah, I think Kinross, like you say, absolutely rock solid in the Park Stakes, and that takes us very nicely to the big one. Well, the big one at Doncaster anyway. It's the St Ledger Stakes. I wouldn't call this a vintage renewal of the St Ledger. I think it's very hard to look past New London here. Only because the opposition is so weak, and it's kind of like the last race where New London looks really rock solid, and then behind him you've got Haskoy, which for me, only running twice and then going to the St Ledger is just a big no-no, and fillies don't have a great
he has done it before, though, hasn't he? He has done it before. Ralph Beckett said one. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but
yeah, a Simple Verse, one of the guitar horses.
Yeah,
maybe?
It might have been.
That is very true. Eldorov, I didn't think would be good enough. Who You Mal, not for me at 1 mile 6. So that just left me on New London. And I think the form franked by Dover Legend, who sadly can't run in this because of the gelding. New London looked rock solid, and like we've said before earlier, William Buick and Charlie Appleby at the minute, absolute fire. Won it last year with Hurricane Lane. So that would be my pick. Very unoriginal. Did you have any other thoughts of anyone else, Daryl, or were you the same?
I thought there was one that was well overpriced. I thought New London would be very hard to beat. I like him a lot. I think he's a very, very smart horse going places. And you have to remember in classics like this, the final classic of the season, the amount of arsenal that Charlie Appleby's got.
Yeah.
And this is the one that he's chosen for the St. Ledger. So
he could have had Secret State in, couldn't he?
It could have, and he was entered because I thought Secret State ran a blinder at York, and I thought if he was coming in here, I would have took New London on with him. So, but yeah, they've stuck with New London. I think he's a very, very promising horse. I really like him a lot. I didn't like the performance of Eldaroff dropping back in trip over in Longchamp. I'm starting to question his form a little bit, in all honesty. Hugh Yamal, I don't think will stay. He'll be very popular, but I'm nothing for me has suggested he stays this trip. Now I know he won at Goodwood over a mile 6 before people start going mad, but he's beaten like a 98 rated horse 2 lengths, and the others should have even really been in the race. It was a soft touch. So, and the time figure wasn't great, it wasn't amazing. So I struggled to pick on him. Haskell was a good winner for me last night. I like that horse. I thought Emily Dickinson was well overpriced at 20-1.
Yeah.
She was the twice that she's run over this trip. She was a very fast finishing third and second. Leopardstown she was second, but steamed home from an unpromising position, having to weave in and out of horses. And then last time at Goodwood, the race was blown apart by the horse that was making all of the running, and Urban Artist, and she had to come from a mile back. An absolute mile back, and she if you watch that race, if you just watch the closing stage of that race, it looks like she only joined in at halfway, the way she finished with running left.
Yeah.
No, I think she's got a big chance. But why is Ryan Moore not on? Why is Ryan Moore not on board?
Will he not be in Ireland?
Oh yeah, sorry, he is. Yeah, of course he is. He's on Luxembourg, isn't he? Yeah, sure, Levy's no bad replacement, I can tell you that.
Cool.
So Emily Dickinson each way, but New London the most likely winner for me.
Love that. Yeah, completely agree. That's a really interesting point, though. And that Goodwood race, you're right, it was absolutely blown to pieces, wasn't it, within the first couple of furlongs? So yeah, that's interesting.
And it is rock solid. It is rock solid form. Yeah. Like I don't understand how she's a 20-1 shot and Haskell is a 7-1 shot, for example. Do you get what I mean? So yeah, I think I think she's definitely going to hit the frame personally. So
lovely, love that. And that brings us on to our final race. It's the Irish Champion Stakes, and Ryan Moore is in this. It's a little bit of a rerun of the Coral Eclipse early in the year. Verdini and Mishriff finished 1-2. Mishriff arguably a little bit unlucky that day. Daryl, what did you make of this? A little bit of extra spice with Luxembourg being in there.
Yeah, this is good. This is a good race. I was with Verdini in the Eclipse. I want to be against him today. I thought he was very lucky to win. I thought Mishriff hit all sorts of trouble. And I thought he was lucky to win. He's a very small horse if you look at him. I don't think he's going to progress from 3 to 4 or whatever. They might retire him after the end of the year if he wins this anyway. But I think he's a speedy horse. I don't think he's stamina laden, in my opinion. I want to take him on. He's 11-10 is too short, especially given how Mishriff, how unlucky Mishriff was that day. Now it's only because Mishriff's won twice and been beaten the next twice that he's as big as he is. I think the price should be much closer together. 11-10, 10-3 makes no sense to me. Mishriff basically won the Judmont without Baid, and if Baid wasn't there, he'd be a lot shorter than he is now for me. And Baid we know is a freak. So I think Mishriff is the one that you back at the prices. I think Luxembourg has a bit to prove on the back of that reappearance run at the Curragh. I'm not a massive fan of his third in the Guineas either. I don't think that is. I don't really look that Guineas form this year. Nate Trower was beaten quite comfortably by Mishriff, or would have been beaten quite comfortably by Mishriff in the Eclipse. The ill-fated Caribus was disappointing before his unfortunate accident.
Yeah.
And then you go back to his perpetuity run when he beat Bayside Boy by 1 3/4 lengths, and I don't know. For me, I thought he was outstanding at the Curragh last year when he zipped down the outside, and I thought that was really impressive. But when you go back and you sort of look at what he's beaten really and what they've done since, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to expect from Luxembourg. In all honesty, do you?
I actually had him down as a pick, but not a very strong one, purely because I don't know what it is with Mischief. I know he would have won that race last time without Baid, but I always just think that's a bit of an asterisk, and it's a bit like, yeah, but the race would have been completely different without Baid. And Mischief, I don't know, he looks like he's a little bit hard to win with these days for me. And also, I know he didn't last time, but he has got that tendency to, fall out the gate a bit. Don't think you want to be doing that at the Curragh. Bedini, yeah, I'm not for me really. Wasn't convinced by that eclipse for me either. I did land on Luxembourg just purely because of the vibes coming out of. I know they are usually good from Ballydoyle, but they are particularly talking this one up. Put a line through his last run because he was coming back from injury. I think he'd be loads fresher, loads fitter. And I think he might end up being the best of this classic generation. I know you talk about the running the Guineas, but miles not his trip. I think this would be much more suitable. And I'm willing to take a bit of a chance on him at 92. But it wouldn't be my strongest bet of the day. But yeah, that's where I landed. The rest of them, yeah, playing for places really for me. It's between those three, but that's where I am.
Yeah. I agree. I do get Mishriff's got the blowout potential, but I think, God, I don't know. I'm torn between Luxembourg and Mishriff. I just know I want to be against Bedini, so I might just lay Bedini, and get out free card that basically, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm very happy to take him on. So that leaves us now with other selections over the weekend, and I've opened this up to. Obviously, we've got some great racing on Sunday as well. But have you got anything else from anywhere else, Daryl, this weekend?
Just one at Leopardstown in the 205. I'm not entirely sure what price he's going to be, and you're probably going to laugh at me, but Safe Voyage goes over for John Quinn. I didn't think too many people saw this, but I thought he was a huge eye catcher and good one behind I'm a Gambler. He got absolutely no run at all, and he finished very, very well. He has dropped in the weights quite significantly. He's in a Premier handicap over here now, off 97. John Quinn has had 5 winners from 20 runners in Ireland. And this was one of them, which won a Group 2 in 2020 at the course. So 100% record of course. The rain's come through, which I think will definitely help his chances. And I think Safe Voyage is going to be a good bet in the 205 at Leopardstown. Other than that, I haven't really got anything else for you, Rob, unfortunately.
Normally you do. I must admit, I really like Safe Voyage. It's a great little horse. Somebody at York, he's good. And John Quinn's a good guy, John Quinn. I had one from elsewhere, and that was also in Ireland in the 420. It's a 2-horse race, this, but I'm with Jadumi in the 420 Leopardstown. Simon Ed Crisford on absolute fire at the moment, bagging in winners. He's 2 from 2 this year, lightly raced. I think it's a really light campaign. I think there's loads more to come. I think he goes there with a huge chance. I couldn't get a price on him, but it looks like he'd be around sort of the 2-to-1 mark in what looks like a 2-horse race. That takes us to Naps. What's your nap, Daryl?
It's one of those weekends, Rob. It's not an Apatosaurus Rex, that's for sure, but I think it's going to be Palavecino.
Yeah, nice. That. Yeah, I was a bit like that. I was sort of, I kind of like the chances of a few, but there's not one I'm really sold on. But I'm going to put up as the most solid. I'll put up Kinross because I do think he's got the most solid chance of all of my selections. And there we have it. So all that's left is for me to say huge thanks to Daryl. We'll be back next week. Thanks so much for watching. Best of luck with all your bets this weekend, and we'll see you next week.